Hello. Now, today we're going to be talking about something that has been technically reviewed before. This is basically just like another iteration to that IEM. We're talking about the NFACOUS NA20. Now, this IEM right here is also the same price as the NM20, which I previously reviewed, but there is some subtle differences about it. And what are those? Let's talk about it. Now, before we begin, a huge thank you to Eileen from NFACOUS for actually sending these per my way so that I could try these out and give you guys an honest review. And currently, right now, they are actually doing something kind of special. For every single purchase above $100, they will also be giving you a free sticker pack full of very cool and cute stickers from NFACOUS. So for anybody who's interested, just click in the unaffiliated links down below to get a pair of NA20s for yourself. Once again, thank you to Eileen for taking care of me. Let's get on with the video. Now, this is just going to be a very quick comment in regards to the NM20 because honestly, a lot of people do not like this pair. Mainly because this pair is being sold and being marketed as a pro audio monitoring IEM. Hence, what does that mean? That means that the sound signature is more flat, it is more sterile, it is so-called boring. And in terms of how do they deal with that, well, you just need to release something that people would like. And this, I personally would say, is a very good solution to the NM20. Now, this right here is within the music series of NFACOUS' lineup. So this will be more dynamic. This overall will be sounding more fun in comparison with the blue pair right here, which is more sterile, more boring. You get my deal. And before we begin, as always, unboxing time. Now, you've seen the NM20's review. This is going to be more or less the same in terms of the unboxing experience. The NA20 is going to be housed in this very nice sleeve where it shows an A20. It shows an A20 at the back with a few more descriptors. And also, one thing I'd just like to show very direct right now is that, as you can see, it says that this is a music series as compared to the NM20. It is of a pro series. So that's the very obvious difference right here. Opening this up gives you a very nice presentation of the box. One side houses the IEMs as well as the earpieces underneath. You're only given one set right here, and the other side houses the pamphlet as well as the case underneath. Given the fact that this thing is also pro audio related, because honestly, just by looking at the build, everything is strikingly similar to the NM20. You will also be given a 1/4-inch jack. But other than that, in terms of the build, it is basically the same as the NM20. It is a plastic polycarbonate finish type of shell, and in terms of how good it is, the ergonomics overall, yeah, it's quite good. It is lightweight, so it's meant for long sessions of listening, and for me personally, it really stands the test of time in terms of like I need to wear it for at least 2 to 3 hours only to start getting a little bit of fatigue on my ear canals, which is honestly very normal at this point. If you could listen to 2 to 3 hours only, then you start to get fatigued, then that's a very good and ergonomic pair. Now, with all that being said, let's actually just jump into the sound part. Now, just for reference, I'm not going to be using any single dongle decks. I'm just directly plugging the 3.5 into my MacBook as it is. In general, this pair is a V-shaped IEM, and compared to the NM20, this thing will have a slightly more increase in the bass region. That thing has more harsher mids and up. This thing has it more toned down. And initially, I really did not pick that up, but the more you listen to this thing has a more, I would say, slightly warm-ish tint to it. And comparing this to the NM20, the NA20 definitely sounds more playful and more dynamic in that sense, in terms of enjoyment sense. Going on to the bass, starting off, this is totally not the same as the NM20. Me personally, again, this is a very personal bias. I would prefer the NM20 mainly because that is very ideal for my use case. This thing has enough bass for the average V-shape enjoyer to actually play with this for some time. Sub bass, the rumble is quite plentiful, it is quite adequate. Texture is just enough. And again, considering the price of this, you really can't complain what you're really getting. It is only 120 US dollars. But for what it's worth, it's definitely giving you adequate amounts of technicality, texture, definition. Mid bass and lower bass are definitely plentiful as well. It gives you enough punch, it gives you enough impact and aggression. And for me personally, I feel like this is a little bit of a slight hit or miss here and there, mainly for the mixing of the song. Mac Miller's Hurt Feelings for the second track, it starts off with some strong 808s. I feel like this is the part where, I can feel some levels of bloatiness. But again, this is just me. When I'm letting someone else listen to it, they just said that, oh, this thing sounds more full. This thing sounds very note weight heavy. I like this. It sounds thick. So for what I said in the bass region, take this with a grain of salt when I say bloatiness. Unless you are a same guy like me, which prefers something along the lines of balance or neutral, that's about it. Vocals, in my personal opinion, is quite interesting. Even though this is not as harsh or as forward positioned as the NM20, it is only slightly pushed back. You can feel like this is so much more relaxed than the NM20. Although, me being a psychopath, I could enjoy the NM20. This thing definitely is an upgrade in terms of enjoyment's sense. Tonality of female and male vocals are both as transparent and neutral, maybe some slight tinge of warmness depending on the track's mix, but it's not as harsh as the NM20. So again, it still retains the characteristics of a studio monitor, but it has some slight coloration and less radicalization, if it makes any sense. It's not that exaggerated. All the S sound, the X sound, all of those sounds do not sound that harsh compared to the NM20. This thing sounds just all right. It rounds off. No, it doesn't round off. It has a very perfect end to it, which I really enjoy. And when I say that this thing still retains the NM20's profile, to some people this might have a sort of a tin-ish characteristics for the vocals. But again, this is quite reminiscent of what we want when we are listening on a studio monitor type of tuning. So your mileage may vary in terms of enjoyment for vocals specifically. But what I could honestly say in terms of the mids is that everything is more or less the same as the NM20, except it is more laid back. It is very transparent, it is clean, maybe a tad bit sterile still for some people, but on long sessions this is definitely so much better than that because it does not get too fatiguing. Micro details are definitely slightly pushed back compared to the NM20s, mainly because of how these things are being tuned, but I wouldn't really complain because if you want a relaxed pair, this is the way to go. If you have too much micro details coming out, you might feel a sense of fatigueness as you're listening to every single thing. And again, going on to the upper mids and treble, when people are saying that the NM20 is too shouty, it is too sharp, this thing basically solves that. Percussions are definitely not as sharp as the NM20. This thing takes it a step back slightly, but still retains all of that aggressiveness, all of that craziness that you're getting from the NM20. And despite that this thing is being slightly laid back, it also has an adequate amount of extension and an adequate amount of airiness throughout. Roll-offs are, I would say, quite okay for the price that they are being delivered for. And this is something that I specifically picked up. I don't know why. I feel like synths in general are a little bit more simpler sounding in this pair compared to the NM20. But I'm not really going to complain because again, contrasting this with the price, you are definitely paying for what you're going to get. And it's quite a good bargain. Technicalities overall, I would say is more or less the same with the NM20. This thing has the same amount of dynamics, the same amount of soundstage. Imaging and separation might be slightly faltering if you are going to see it that way, but again, it might be a placebo because this thing is not as harsh as the NM20. Hence, it might sound slightly bigger in terms of how an element sits in the sound staging. And detail retrievals overall, this thing definitely has a slight variation compared to the NM20 where that thing really just slams everything in front of you, the macros, the micros, everything. This thing slams more macro details at you and micro details, you could focus it if you want to and you could just dial it back and just not care about it if you don't want to, and it just blends and dissolves right into the back. So if you want to relax, you could relax with this pair. But if you want to kind of work in terms of mixing everything on this, it's also possible because usually we associate a more neutral tuning for mixing. That's not really the case at this point because there are IEMs which is going to be reviewed very soon that is literally being done for a specific guy to do studio monitoring. And that IEM is very, very V-shaped. And I would say for the NA20, it definitely solves the issue that a lot of people are not happy with the NM20, which we are all very, very clear about. This definitely tones it down a little bit, just enough so that you don't feel like it's too harsh, and at the same time you could still technically use it for pro audio. And with all that being said, thank you for watching this video. Again, thank you Eileen for sending these pair my way. For anybody who is interested, please don't hesitate to click in the unaffiliated links down below so that you can learn more about the NA20. With all that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.